Members of the high table, elders here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the already established protocol. I've been given this assignment this evening to introduce to us the keynote speaker for today. That is someone that we know who has institutionalized servant leadership in Nigeria. The chief servant, Salvador and Sudan Grouping, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, CON, former governor of Niger State. Unfortunately, he's not here with us this evening, but he has sent a very able person to represent him. He is represented by Professor Rukayya Ahmed Rufai, former Minister of Education. Professor Rukayya is a professor of curriculum studies in BUK at Bayero University, Kano. She is the first female professor from northwestern Nigeria. And her tenure as Minister of Education is regarded as the golden period of Nigerian education because of the strides that were made in the educational sector while she was the minister. Ma, I want to be like you when I grow up. We're really privileged to have you here. If you don't mind, Ma, this would like you to come and stand while we read the citation of the former governor. A round of applause for her, please. His Excellency Muazu Babangida Aliyu was born on the 4th of November 1955. He hails from Minna in Niger State in north-central Nigeria. I would like to read a little about his educational background. He rose from grade 2 teacher certificate, College of Arts and Arabic Studies, former Arabic Teachers College, now Sheikh Gumi College, between 1970 to 1974. Obtained the Nigerian Certificate in Education NCE, College of Education Sokoto, 1974 to 1977. Bachelor of Education from Bayero University, Kano, between 1980 to 1983. And he obtained a master's in public and international affairs, University of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA, between 1985 to 1986. And he obtained a Doctor of Philosophy from the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs, University of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA, 1986 to 1989. A little about his work experience as well. He served under the National Youth Service Corps in Lagos in 1977 to 1978 and rose from classroom teacher to directorate between 1978 to 1999 and then elected to House of Representatives in 1983. He served as Director, Council of Intergovernmental Relations, Council Cabinet Secretariat, Director Special Assistant to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Maritime Services in 1992 to chief servant in Niger State. Today, he has honored our invitation through being represented by the former Minister of Education, and we are really happy to have you here. You're going to give us the keynote, and then we'll proceed from there. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Fluctuations in economic growth influenced by both internal and external rise in academic performance. The lack of diversification, and I'm happy with the speaker in the morning talking about the issue of diversification. So the issue of production inefficiencies, inadequate infrastructure, and pervasive corruption have all contributed to the economic downturn in Nigeria. And our GDP growth has also been inconsistent, and our potential for sustainable development has been hindered by systemic challenges that demand urgent attention and innovative solutions. So insight from other countries. Let's look at global and African examples. We can see nations that have successfully navigated under similar challenges or similar circumstances, leveraging their natural resources, human capital, and strategic partnerships to drive economic growth and development. And some of these examples were also given this morning. Countries like South Korea, Singapore, and Rwanda have demonstrated that with visionary leadership, sound policies, and a commitment to transparency and accountability, remarkable transformations are possible. Critical sectors are need to be revised to revive and redirect the Nigerian economy towards a path of sustainable growth. We must target the full spectrum of our resources, including oil, solid minerals, agriculture, human capital, and the entrepreneurial spirit of our people, especially our youth. We must prioritize investment in critical sectors, promote industrialization, improve infrastructure, and create an enabling environment for business to thrive. To enhance the growth of the Nigerian economy, several critical sectors need to be revived and developed. Number one, manufacturing. The manufacturing sector has the potential to create jobs, promote industrialization, and reduce import dependence. Reviving local industries, promoting value-added production, supporting small and medium enterprise, and enhancing the ease of doing business can stimulate economic growth and diversification. And you can agree with us that much has been discussed this morning by the able speaker. So also the issue of energy. Nigeria's energy sector, particularly electricity, generation and distribution, are crucial for powering industries, businesses, and households. Investing in renewable energy sources, improving energy infrastructure, addressing power sector inefficiencies, and also in promoting energy efficiency can drive economic activities and attract investments. Infrastructure. Inadequate infrastructure, including roads, rail networks, ports, airport and telecommunication, essential for facilitating trade, mobility, and connectivity. Reviving and expanding infrastructure projects, enhancing connectivity between regions, and liberating public-private partnerships can also unlock economic potential and attract investment. And for mining and solid minerals, Nigeria is rich in mineral resources such as coal, limestone, gold, iron ore, and zinc. And I'm happy to say that in each of the 36 states of Nigeria and FCT, none of the states that does not have anything underneath. It is a very rich country in terms of solid minerals. I will have a whole ministry of solid mineral resources, but you don't hear much happening. You don't hear we have gold. And gold mining is one of also gold mining is going on. But where is the gold? Who owns it? What the money being used for? So there are several questions to be asked, and answers are not to be given. So reviving the mining sector, promoting sustainable attraction practices, enhancing regulatory frameworks, and attracting investment that the national revenue sources create employment opportunities and stimulate economic growth. Art and tourism and hospitality. Nigeria's diverse cultural heritage, natural attractions, and vibrant art which offers immense potential for the tourism industry. Developing this infrastructure, promoting tourism clusters, enhancing security, and showcasing Nigeria's unique offerings can drive economic growth, the chief servant and the speaker also they would have compared notes probably. So the ICT sector represents a key driver of innovation, digital transformation and economic diversification. Investing in ICT infrastructure, promoting digital literacy, supporting startups and fostering a conducive regulatory environment can position Nigeria as a hub for technology and innovation. This is why the diaspora community can come in bid and attract partnership across the globe for Nigeria to harvest. Financial services, so I'm still coming to the first speaker. A robust financial sector is also essential for mobilizing capital, facilitating investment and driving economic activity. We can support economic growth and stability through strengthening the financial system, promoting financial inclusion, enhancing access to credit to SMEs, and fostering a culture of savings and investment can also support economic growth and stability. Emphasizing on the significance of the critical sectors. So from the foregoing, revitalizing these critical sectors and implementing targeted policies and reforms, Nigeria can unlock its full economic potential, create sustainable growth, expand access to opportunities, and improve the livelihoods of the citizens. The need to address youth unemployment. Addressing the issue of unemployment among millions of youth in Nigeria is crucial for fostering economic growth, social stability, and sustainable development. To tackle these challenges effectively, a multifaceted approach can combine short-term interventions with long-term strategies that are actually needed. So he has a range of recommendations on the issue of unemployment. Some of them have been discussed earlier, so I will just highlight them. Number one, skill development and training. Number two, entrepreneurship support. Number three, trade job initiatives. 4, internship and apprenticeship programs. 5, education reform. 6, youth empowerment programs. 7, public-private partnerships that have also been discussed. So all these, once they are done, then of course we will have youth to have wider contribution in the society instead of them being idle and they are always subject to one vice or the other. So it's very important for the country to come up with all those things or to continue. Some of them have decided on the issue of continuity in Nigeria, as we have discussed this morning, is also a big issue. So the need to address insecurity. Addressing insecurity, including banditry and insurgency, is indeed crucial for fostering economic growth and development in Nigeria. Many nations around the world have successfully tackled similar security challenges through various measures. Some strategies and examples of how other countries have tackled banditry and insurgency to promote economic growth are as follows. Number one, comprehensive strategy. Comprehensive security strategy. Implementing a comprehensive security strategy that combines military, law enforcement, intelligence, and community engagement measures is essential. Countries like Colombia have successfully reduced insurgency and organized crime by adopting a multifaceted approach that includes targeted military operations, intelligence-led policing, community partnerships, and socio-economic development programs in affected areas. 2, dialogue and conflict resolution. Engaging in dialogue and negotiations with insurgent groups can lead to peaceful resolution and disarmament. Countries like Northern Ireland and South Africa have used dialogue and peace process to end decades of conflict and promote transition to stable and prosperous societies. 3, border security and regional cooperation. Enhancing border security measures and fostering regional cooperation are critical for preventing the cross-border movement of armed groups and illicit activities. The European Union has implemented joint border control initiatives and intelligence sharing mechanisms to combat terrorism and organized crime across member states. 4, counter-insurgency operations. Conducting well-coordinated with collaborative and intelligence-driven counter-insurgency operations The Philippines have organized targeted military campaigns, intelligence operations, and volunteer support to defeat insurgencies and resources. 5. Community policing and intelligence sharing. Strengthening community policing initiatives and promoting intelligence sharing between security agencies and local communities can help prevent and respond to security threats effectively. Here also countries like Japan and Singapore have implemented community-based policy models and robust intelligence networks to maintain public safety and security. 6. Socio-economic development. Addressing the root causes of insecurity, such as poverty, unemployment, and social inequality through targeted socio-economic development programs can help reduce the appeal of joining insurgent groups. Here, countries like Rwanda and Uganda have implemented poverty reduction strategies, job creation programs, and social welfare initiatives to promote stability and prosperity. 7. Transitional justice and reconciliation. Implementing transitional justice and mechanisms and reconciliation processes can also help heal societal divisions, address past grievances, and promote national unity. Here, countries like South Africa and Rwanda have established truth and reconciliation commissions to promote accountability, justice, and reconciliation after periods of conflict and violence. Emphasis on addressing insecurity. By drawing lessons from these examples and tailoring strategies to the specific context of Nigeria, it is possible to effectively address insecurity, banditry, and insurgency, and create a conducive environment for economic growth and sustainable development. Collaborative efforts involving governments, security agencies, communities, civil society, and international partners are key to achieving lasting peace, security, and prosperity for all Nigerians. Harnessing the informal sector can play a significant role in fast-tracking economic growth in Nigeria and other developing countries. The informal sector encompasses a wide range of economic activities that are not regulated or monitored by the government, including street vending, small-scale manufacturing, artisanal work, and service provision. The recognition and formalization. Recognizing the contribution of the informal sector to the economy and formalizing informal businesses through registration, licensing, and access to financial services can help integrate them into the formal economy. Providing incentives to formalization, such as tax breaks, training programs, and business support services, can encourage informal business to transition to the formal sector. Access to finance has also been discussed. There is need to have access to finance for people to develop their businesses. Skill development also is important, providing training and capacity building programs to enhance the skills and capacities of informal sector. And then infrastructural and market linkages, they are also very critical. Regulatory reforms, streamlining regulatory processes, reducing bureaucratic hurdles, and also simplifying business registration procedures, and also make it easier for informal businesses to formalize their operations. Creating a conducive regulatory environment that promotes entrepreneurship, innovation, and compliance, and incentivize informal sector actors to participate in the formal economy. And also the issue of digital technology reforms, not another regulatory piece. Digital regulatory reforms such as e-commerce platforms, mobile payments, and online marketing tools can also help formal businesses to access new markets, improve operational efficiency, and also enhance customer engagement. Social protection also is important in terms of implementing social protection programs such as healthcare coverage, pension schemes, and also unemployment benefits that can provide informal sector workers with financial security and safety net. So enhancing social protection to informal workers can improve their well-being, enhance productivity, here is that for it to really come up with a mindset to address all these issues. What the speaker said in the morning and what we are saying this evening, plus what other issues that the Zumunta have, they also need to be packaged to the Nigerian government to see if we can have a hearing. So the role of the Zumunta Association and teacher this course, the role of organizations like the Zumunta Association is paramount. Their collective experience, their collective expertise, resources and networks can be mobilized to support initiatives that promote economic growth, foster innovation, and empower communities in Nigeria. By fostering collaboration, knowledge sharing, and strategic partnerships,